Hi YouTube, Darth here. This is CTE Sunday, a series where I recap all the recent changes on the community test environment in Battlefield 4. The CTE has been pretty busy in the last few weeks and there are some very noteworthy changes that DICE has been making. So just what has been happening on the CTE over the last few weeks? The change that comes to Battlefield 4 courtesy of the Battlefield Hardline team is a series of improvements to the Netcode. The change comes in the form of efficiency upgrades to how Battlefield 4 handles its high-frequency updates. Firstly, DICE has changed the high-frequency updates to only include enemy players. Before, it presumably included everybody. This is a logical limitation, unless of course you're intending to go on a friendly fire rampage. Additionally, DICE added a cone in front of players when aiming down sights to smoothly transition from the high tick rate of 30 Hz to the normal tick rate of 10 Hz. Combined with some other server efficiency tweaks, what does this mean to the average Battlefield player? Hopefully it will be hard to notice the efficiency change, but the improvement to the system means that the server can better handle the traffic load. This should translate to marginally better performance on the player's end. So what have I noticed with these netcode changes? Do I still die behind walls? Yeah, that still happens, but the realities of the internet are what they are. I have a pretty stable connection, and otherwise this change doesn't seem to have had a noticeable impact, either positive or negative, and I think that's probably good. But anecdotes are not data, and I highly encourage other players to jump in the CTE and try this out for themselves. One of the bigger fixes DICE put in this week was for head glitching. Keep in mind that as I talk about this, DICE was specific to label this fix to head glitching as a prototype. If you're not familiar with the concept of head glitching, know that your bullets exit not from your gun, but from your eyes in Battlefield and nearly every other first-person shooter. This gives players the ability to abuse this by hiding behind covers so that only their head is visible, but they are still able to shoot. So what did DICE do to fix this? Well, they simply changed the origin of bullets on certain weapons on the CTE to be from a lower starting point rather than from the eyes. The net effect is that abusing the eye-level clutter is not as readily possible with these weapons. Now I said this was a bold fix because it has serious drawbacks. Obviously at close range your sights become unreliable as nothing indicates that you're about to shoot a wall. That's really the major flaw of this fix. You're not going to necessarily know when you're going to hit a wall. If you go to shoot an enemy and you simply begin spraying into a wall, you're going to feel pretty cheated. I've had more than my share of DICE please moments by simply shooting into collision in the past. By and large, that was not because I was head glitching, but because of broken collision or invisible walls. Now this frustration will be translated into tons of other objects in the game. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not advocating head glitching here. I'm advocating a frustration-free Battlefield experience. The fix, as implemented, is going to cause a lot more headaches than it's looking to solve. So how would I improve what's been prototyped? The player must know that they are going to fail. They must know this before shooting into a wall. The game's aiming mechanism presently tells them that it's all clear when it's not. There's probably ways to fix this with new animations to withdraw the weapon or possibly showing the player correctly drawing the weapon to their eye when aiming down sights. However, given the limitations of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, this may not be possible in this engine. It may even be that this Battlefield title is the wrong place to try and solve this problem. Most of the game was built around many of the problematic pieces of clutter, and frankly I think a lot of players have already adapted to the situation. I like that DICE is trying to address head glitching, but I wonder if the cure is worse than the problem. Now I'm sure if you've played for any amount of time, you've had the hilarious experience of trying to kill an enemy only to have his entire squad pop out of his rear end like he was a clown car. It's definitely frustrating to lose a fight you would otherwise won. Well, DICE has heard the pleas of the community and they've implemented a first pass squad spawn change where you can no longer spawn on squad mates that are suppressed. This has both an upside and a downside. On the downside, it limits players that want to spawn in on the action. On the upside, it replaces the ridiculous situation where you lose despite having won. I also think that there's the improvement that you're less likely to spawn and immediately die. It probably needs a little more work to let you know why you can't spawn on a squad mate, and I might suggest possibly adding a negative audio feedback and changing the deploy text to red. Otherwise, I think this is a great addition. There have been an absolute ton of fixes across DLC and vanilla maps in the last week. I'd be here all week if I were to go over them all, but suffice to say that the fixes have been mainly in the areas of collision, glitches, and exploits. Now DICE hasn't figured out a way yet to bring the CTE to console players, but they have figured out how to bring console players to the CTE. Battlefield Premium members who are playing on consoles can now sign up for the CTE. The catch is that they have to play the CTE on the PC. Additionally, DICE has added aim assist when using a controller so they can feel somewhat at home when playing on an attached controller. For PC players, don't expect that feature to go live as this aim assist change is likely just for the CTE. I think one of my chief complaints about attack helicopters in Battlefield 4 has been their survivability. They've got plenty of firepower, but as slow as they have been, they've been pretty easy to shoot down. DICE has somewhat addressed this by improving the maneuverability of the attack helicopter. Now you can turn quite a bit faster, flip and loop to your heart's content. It feels a lot like the scout helicopter in terms of turning and handling with a slightly faster maximum speed. While it feels nice to be able to turn faster, I still think survivability is a major issue. Finally, DICE added a number of Halloween Easter eggs for the CTE players this week. The Psycho Murderer with a butcher knife was probably the most noticeable addition, but the heavy breathing on soldiers was also a creepy switch. Additionally, DICE gave a small nod to players and turned Pearl Market to night, if at least temporarily. Oh yeah, and don't forget the awesome, creepy end of round music. That's it for this last few weeks' changes on the CTE. Be sure to check out the community test environment on the PC if you have premium, and I'll leave a link in the description below. If you're new around here, please take a look at my channel and consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.